The snow began falling just as the last clock in the office struck 6, soft and quiet. The kind of snow that makes the world feel gentle even when life isn't. Daniel Harper stood by his desk, coat folded over his arm, a half-empty coffee cooling, beside a stack of invoices no one else wanted to touch. Outside the windows, Christmas lights blinked across the street, cheerful and unaware. Inside, Daniel felt the ground shift beneath his feet, because he didn't yet know that in less than 10 minutes, his life would break apart in a way that would force him to confront pride, fear, and the one person he never thought would save him. Daniel was a single father to an 8-year-old boy named Noah. The kind of kid who believed the world was fair because his dad worked hard and always kept his promises. Daniel had promised him a small Christmas this year, nothing fancy, just a used bike he'd been fixing up in secret and a night of hot chocolate and movies. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Or so Daniel hoped. Every late night at work, every skipped lunch, every quiet prayer whispered in traffic, had been for that simple moment of seeing his son's smile. When his manager called him into the office, Daniel assumed it was about overtime or the New Year's schedule. Instead, the words came out stiff and rehearsed, wrapped in corporate politeness that couldn't hide the truth. Budget cuts, restructuring, effective immediately. The sound of the heater humming in the corner felt louder than the man speaking. Daniel nodded, shook hands, collected his things, and walked out like someone who hadn't yet realized they were bleeding. The cold hit him hard as he stepped outside. Christmas Eve, fired rent due in a week. Noah waiting at home, trusting that his dad would come back with groceries and maybe a candy cane like he always did. Daniel sat in his car for a long time, hands gripping the steering wheel, breath fogging the windshield. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He just stared at the blinking lights across the street and felt something heavy settle in his chest. The cruelest part wasn't losing the job. It was knowing he would have to look into his son's eyes and explain why everything felt suddenly smaller. Daniel's enemy worked in the same building, Marcus Reed. If you asked Daniel, he would tell you Marcus was everything unfair about the world wrapped in one sharp suit, confident, connected, always one step ahead. They'd competed for the same promotion a year earlier. Marcus got it. Daniel didn't. Since then, there had been tension, polite smiles that never reached the eyes. Meetings filled with subtle jabs, a quiet rivalry that hardened into resentment. Daniel believed Marcus looked down on him. Marcus believed Daniel was stubborn and proud. Neither had ever tried to see the other clearly. That night, Daniel drove home slowly, every red light feeling like a countdown. Noah met him at the door, with a paper crown and glitter on his hands, grinning like Christmas had already arrived. Daniel hugged him a little too tightly. They ate noodles for dinner. Daniel said he was tired from work. Noah believed him. After Noah fell asleep, Daniel sat on the couch in the dark, the Christmas tree lights casting soft colors across the room. He ran numbers in his head until they blurred together. Pride told him not to ask for help. Fear told him he might have no choice. He thought of Marcus Reed and pushed the thought away immediately. There were lines a man didn't cross. The next morning came too fast. Christmas Eve felt hollow without the promise of security. Daniel took Noah to the small park nearby, pretending everything was normal. They watched other families laugh and take photos. Daniel smiled when Noah smiled. Inside, he felt like he was balancing on thin ice. That afternoon, his phone buzzed. An email notification from Marcus Reed. Daniel almost deleted it without opening. Pride flared up again, sharp and defensive, but something made him pause. He opened it. The message was short. Marcus had heard about the layoffs. He was sorry. He asked if Daniel could meet him for coffee. Daniel laughed bitterly in the empty apartment. Sorry, didn't pay rent. Coffee didn't fix Christmas. He typed a response, erased it, typed again. In the end, desperation outweighed pride. He agreed. The cafe was warm and crowded, filled with holiday music and the smell of cinnamon. Marcus was already there, looking less polished than usual. Jacket off, sleeves rolled up. He stood when Daniel walked in, an awkward moment hanging between them like an unfinished sentence. They sat. Small talk failed quickly. Marcus sighed and leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. He told Daniel something he had never told anyone at work, that he'd grown up poor, that his father had lost his job right before Christmas when Marcus was a kid, that he remembered watching his dad try to smile while the world fell apart. Daniel listened, guarded but curious. Marcus explained that the promotion he'd taken a year ago had come with connections, not happiness. He talked about long nights, missed birthdays, and the quiet guilt of knowing he had more than he needed while others struggled. He admitted that he'd seen Daniel as competition instead of a person. He apologized. Then Marcus said the words Daniel didn't expect. He told him there was an opening at a partner company. Not glamorous, not permanent yet, but work. Immediate work. He had already put Daniel's name forward. Daniel felt something crack inside him. Relief mixed with shame. Gratitude tangled with disbelief. He wanted to reject it to prove he didn't need help. But then he thought of Noah, of promises, of survival. He accepted. That night, Daniel walked home under the falling snow with lighter steps. He didn't know what the future held, but for the first time since the office clock struck 6, he felt hope stir again. Christmas morning arrived quietly. Noah woke up early, shaking Daniel awake with excitement. The used bike leaned against the wall, polished and ready. Noah's eyes lit up like fireworks. Daniel watched his son ride it down the hallway, laughter filling the apartment, and felt tears finally spill over. Later that day, Daniel received another message from Marcus. Not about work, just a simple Merry Christmas. You're doing a good job. In the weeks that followed, Daniel worked harder than ever. The new job was demanding, humbling, and honest. He learned to ask questions, to accept help, to let go of old resentments that weighed him down. Marcus checked in occasionally, not as a rival, but as a reminder that people are more complex than our assumptions. Months passed, the job became permanent. Life stabilized. Daniel started volunteering at a local center for single parents, helping others navigate the same fears he'd faced. He taught Noah about kindness, about pride balanced with humility, about how enemies can sometimes become unexpected allies. One evening, as they walked home together, Noah asked why Christmas felt different this year. Daniel smiled and told him that sometimes the hardest moments teach us the most important lessons. He had learned that strength isn't just standing alone. It's knowing when to accept a hand. He had learned that pride can protect you, but it can also isolate you. And he had learned that even on the coldest nights, kindness has a way of finding you if you're willing to see it. As the snow fell again the following winter, Daniel looked out at the world with a quieter heart. Life wasn't perfect, it never would be, but it was honest, and it was full of possibility. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that hope can arrive from unexpected places, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because stories like these aren't just about hardship, they're about the courage to keep going, the power of forgiveness, and the belief that even when everything seems lost, one act of kindness can change everything.